Hey guys, welcome to the first episode of the Copecast, which is I guess we can call it second episode, but it didn't have a name for the first one, so this is the first official episode of the Copecast. I'm Jack, this is my co-host Ali.
And we have a twat with us. This is the second time he's been on the episode. That's Akram. He's one of our Egyptian mates.
Friend of the show.
Friend of the show, yes.
Yeah.
I'm a founder, not a friend of the show. But
Damn, man.
go on.
We'll let Legal with the
if
deal with
it
that.
makes you sleep at night.
Yeah.
Whatever you say, love.
Sure.
Yeah, so we decided finally this is the second episode.
I thought we were going to name it Unhinged.
No, we didn't.
No, we had a bit of a
what's the
disagreement
name
about
now?
names. Copecast.
Copecast?
Copecast.
Copecast,
Copecast.
The Copecast.
Okay.
Yeah. Just
Yeah.
because, most of our opinions are probably us coping about some underlying security that we're not self-aware enough to know about. So that's why.
Okay, fair
And the
enough.
society coping as well.
I always be more.
We're going to point that
Self-deprecating,
out,
but
and
fair.
we're going to point out what the society's coping with as well.
Yeah, it's their issue. They're the ones that are.
I heard someone
You're
said,
the problem.
Yeah, they're the
Whoever's listening out there.
Yeah, I heard someone said that every philosophy is a cope.
I think that's probably.
It
that's
is. It
not
is
true to
true.
that,
I
yeah.
agree. Completely agree. I mean, if you're living, you probably. Okay, I was actually talking to him about this this morning. I was telling him that. So one of Freud's opinions is most of the famous or I don't want to say famous, like the good artists, the good leaders, the good footballers, whatever. Like if you're really someone that's good at something, it's because you have some sexual drive that is repressed. That's Freud's theory.
Okay.
But which is obviously not completely true. He went a bit too far with that. But the thing is, if you think about it, if you think about that, if you take that idea a bit, it's like the same as coping. You have to. I was telling them that you have to feel good about yourself in some sense, which why it made sense for Freud to say that since it's a human instinct to reproduce, but you're not finding that reproduction, how do you feel good about yourself? You go and compensate or cope in a different way, which is what he was trying to say.
Yeah.
How do you explain the asceticism or the rise of the priestly class then?
Just to clarify, I'm not saying this is true. I'm saying this is why it made sense.
So how would
because you
Freud-
make me say things that I did not
So
say.
how did-
and
how
I'm
would
making it
Freud then-
clear that before you start getting in a rabbit hole. Yeah, say that again.
So change the question then to how would Freud have said that? You
Said-
get the priestly class?
How would he would have answered
Yeah,
that?
if you're making a
Can
comment
you
about
repeat the
Freud's.
question?
Yeah, people who basically deny life and I guess
Do
they
ascetic
live.
practices, monk style.
Yeah, they live in monasteries and away from civilization.
Who
And will
told
it-
you?
will it-
Wait,
will
wait, wait,
excuse-
I actually have a perfect answer for that.
Okay.
Why they feel this whole thing is based on the premise that you become enlightened. Like let's talk about Buddhists, for instance. You become the Buddha, which inherently separates you from the other human beings because you've been enlightened. That's one good thing to feel good about, isn't it? If you know that you've become a Buddha, then man,
Well, yeah, this is the thing that
if you genuinely believe in Buddhism and you think you're a Buddha or you're acting towards being a Buddha, then
This is
Dude,
something I
you
wanted to
freaking
clarify
could-
about,
yeah.
like the way that you were wording it. So treat this as rather your opinion, or I'm just talking about Freud's.
yeah. No, I get what you're saying.
Freud's opinion.
I
Do you
just
say
wanted to, because he does that a lot.
with the good.
That's what-
With the good. When it said feel good about yourself, how do you mean by that? Are you talking along the lines
you
of?
have to have so to continue living, you have to have something that gives you some sort of, I don't want to say satisfaction, but it's some sort of content.
Well, let me get to the
Being
level that I'm
content.
talking about, because with the example
I'm
of Buddha.
gonna-
well, let me just say it to
Yeah.
make sure you understand, or make people listening understand what I'm getting at. The way it was worded with what you were saying about the Buddha sounded like you could be saying, if I'm imagine if I was Buddhist and I was trying to let go of all things that I care about and not care about things to become enlightened. It could have been described as that, and then that in itself will be the enlightening part and the good bit. I'll feel good for doing that or fulfilled.
Yes.
But you worded it in a way that could have been interpreted as, I'm choosing to let go of things because now look how fucking awesome I am. That it's actually inherently egotistical.
No. I'm
So
saying
you
it's
don't mean that, right?
unconsciously. No. I don't mean that. I mean unconsciously. You have to be content in some sense. You have to feel some content.
But it's not an ego-driven pride.
No.
type
It doesn't.
thing.
It could be or it could not be. That's it.
Okay.
It doesn't matter.
It's an important distinction,
Some people,
though,
you
right?
know, like the people who how would you say that? You know, people who brag in general. They want to feel good. They want to feel. So that's one example of people feeling.
But that'd be a pride.
content.
It's would be a prideful
That's a
thing,
pride
right?
example.
Yeah.
If it's the Buddha, it's like someone believing in Christianity, not because he believes in Christianity, but because he wants to feel superior in some sense.
Yeah.
You see, it could be a prideful thing, or it could not.
So
be
this is why the distinction
some
needs to be
Buddhists,
made.
Yeah, so some Buddhists might do it just out of pride, or some other Buddhists.
Let's get
would
meta
do it
Akram.
genuinely.
Like the way that Ali described it, can you see how it was worded in a way that would make somebody think it was the pride? He was talking about the
I
pride.
agree with you. I'm not disagreeing.
So
I'm just
I-
saying.
I
Yeah, I'm
think-
curious to see if
Yeah.
how Akram
I
heard
think
it, how Ali described it.
I thought that he meant like doing something in a utilitarian way, like you're gonna discard something, for example, which is the living in the world and amassing wealth and stuff like that,
Yeah.
to something that is beneficial to you, but in a different way.
I didn't mean
that's so-
necessarily beneficial. I meant that it gives you some sort of being content.
But that's what
I
you
mean,
meant.
that's-
Thought he meant by the beneficial part. The beneficial
Yeah,
thing
yeah,
could
yeah.
be you would include emotions in that, right? The emotion
mean,
of feeling content.
Contented. You could say
You can
contented is
extrapolate and say
beneficial.
being content.
Yeah,
is
that's what I'm saying.
beneficial
You
to
could say
Yeah.
contented is being beneficial.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, but yeah, I was just telling them that this morning that it makes some sense for Freud to say that with all the examples that he had in his book, that great people will be sexually repressed in some, not necessarily repressed, but like they
Yeah.
miss some sort of. It's because sexuality is directly correlated with reproduction. And
Do you think it?
if
Yeah.
I can't reproduce, then there's some part of me that's not contented.
Did he have a
that's
lot of
not
kids?
fully-
Did he get a lot of girls, or did he think of himself as pretty awesome and also got no pussy?
He had a
So-
daughter,
he
and
did
the
have a
daughter did
daughter.
psychology.
Okay.
She,
yeah.
I think.
What I'm saying is,
in one of the
was
shows,
Freud just talking purely about himself as like, I don't get any pussy, but I'm still pretty great. Therefore, this must be how it works.
I mean, the
Sort of
dude,
self-reinforcing thing.
but the dude made psychoanalysis on his own, so.
So he was great?
I'm pretty sure he knows he's good.
Yeah. Fair
Yeah,
enough.
but the funny thing is, one of the shows, there's a show called, not a show actually, it was, dude, that was freaking funny. Okay, Anthony Hopkins
Yeah.
played Freud in the last, I think it was the last session of Freud or something like that.
Okay.
Something like that. Anyways,
Movie,
he
you
was
said?
at movie, yeah, it was at the end of Freud's life, but they represented his daughter as a lesbian, and I'm not sure if obviously like sexual freedom came about after Freud's ideas. Or it became easier to talk about after
Yeah.
Freud's ideas, especially that he said sometimes gay people. Yeah, he brought it up in that sense, if that makes.
Freud brought it up in his work. He was part of
No,
the reason it became more openly spoke about. Or you're just saying,
He spoke about how some not necessarily gay people or homosexuality, but the sexual freedom in general, when he said that some mothers are attracted to the kids and some kids are attracted to mothers and some daughters are attracted to the fathers and so on. When he brought that, he just brought about the sexual freedom ideology throughout the West.
it just made it, yeah.
Yeah, he just made it easier, and he mentioned some of the homosexual stuff, but I'm not fully aware of that. Just to get back to the point is, I don't know if they represented his daughter as a lesbian because he was like technically the father of the idea, or
Father of
not the idea.
People starting to talk about that type of
Yes,
stuff.
be getting a bit more free of talking
Or
about
what-
because I don't know if you know that, but you know how homosexuality is really banned in England. I mean, you know that
Alan Turing?
Alan Turing, yeah, Alan Turing.
Had to
If
do-
you guys haven't watched the movie, what was
watched
it called?
it.
Enigma.
Yes, Pride Month. Go watch Enigma.
Yeah, go watch Enigma. Alan
Wait, are
Turing-
we in Parma?
Hell yeah, brother.
Yeah,
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 there's
yeah.
flags all over the place. Yeah.
I thought
But
it was-
Target's got a load of flags. Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, that explains why I saw a lot of pride flags on Chicago city court or something.
Yeah. That'll be the one. Yeah. But yeah, you were saying, what was it? Yeah, Alan Turing had to do
Alan
had the
Turing
choice
was
between
gay, and he had the choice of
hard labor or being chemically castrated. He chose
he was chemically castrated
and then killed himself. I think for like a
Yes.
couple of years or something.
Yeah,
like that.
yeah, he did
Yeah.
that. So obviously, homosexuality was something banned from most countries. England, one of them, obviously. But what I'm trying to say is, with time, the idea of sexual freedom came about when they started studying Freud's work a bit
Yeah, it was the
more.
genesis of it, right? Yeah, because I know it got big in the 50s, but I spoke about this before. I read a 1927 paper by Carl Jung, and he was already talking about how in like central cities, they were acting kind of how like postmodernists act already, like in small enclaves of like the elite
Yeah.
society. And he was making a comment how that will spread out over the next 100 years to like even rural areas. And he was correct about that. So I think, and obviously you hear about Berlin in the 20s before Hitler came in
was mental in the
was
20s,
mental, yeah, in
man. It
Weimar,
was freaking
Germany.
mental. I did.
So all of this stuff has already existed in certain like metropolitan elitist
yeah, exactly.
places across Europe.
I think
At that
even
time.
way before that, like in
Yeah.
the Middle East, for example, like homosexuality and pedophilia were not frowned upon in certain like pockets. Like
Yeah,
for
yeah.
example,
How common was it though?
it was common among the elites, and that we had like a lot of homoerotic poetry.
Interesting.
Like
Who-
the
who-
caliphs, for
do you-
example.
Is that like how gay we homoerotic in the sense of what the West would refer to as homoerotic, or is it just different
where'd you get
standards?
that from?
As in,
Huh?
like,
No,
so
it's like love between a man and
what type of like romantic love, like that type of
What-
love,
yeah, and sexual, very
sexual. Okay,
Where'd
yeah.
you get that from?
Huh?
Where'd you get that from?
There's a book I read, I think, 6 years ago about
By
this
who?
topic.
Yeah, but is
like
it
for
just-
example, let me.
But you could read a book that is just saying things or has documented shit
yeah,
like that.
I mean,
but
we
that's
have
what-
we have a lot of like a wealth of homoerotic poetry in the Arabic poetry.
By whom?
For example,
I've never heard of him. I read poetry, but I've never heard of it. That's why I'm very questioning of the thing.
his name doesn't. Wait.
What time period are you talking
We're
about?
talking about the Abbasid.
Really?
Caliphate,
That's
yes.
way back,
Is this
man.
near the end?
I don't believe
near
that.
the end of the Abbasid. When was the Abbasid? What?
The Abbasid
what
is,
century?
is early Islamic
the-
Empire. Like that's the height of the Islamic Empire.
Yeah, like
so-
before 1000 AD, before 1100.
Yeah,
AD.
yeah. Before even 700.
Okay, it's really early. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. Or
So-
about 700 maybe. I don't know.
So Abu Nawas is a famous.
I know him. Okay,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I've never heard that.
Yeah, he had a
wrote-
lot of.
Seriously.
And also we had some genre called Hispano-Arabic homoerotic poetry, which was prevalent in Andalusia, Spain, the Iberian Peninsula at the
Wait,
time.
when it was under Muslim rule, is that what you're
Yeah.
saying? That's what
Yeah,
it's there?
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But I could see that something being. But that was not that caliphate.
When did the caliphate split? It was either way.
It was not the
so-
caliphate.
The caliphate spanned like most of the.
No, that's
Islamic
not what I
history,
mean. That's not what I mean. It
Like,
was
it
part-
just like was
Dude,
named
that's not what I
different
mean.
names.
That's not what I mean. I meant that was not the ruling part. It was a European country under a Muslim ruling. Do you get what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
but
the
even
background
in,
was just- I
but
presume
even
you
in
just
Iraq, they had like the legend of Abu Nawas.
He did. I
Yeah.
know that poet, but I have never heard that. He
Interesting,
did
man.
that.
Yeah, it's the first I've
Yeah,
heard
so
of obviously as
so
well.
the book I read is called Homoeroticism in Classical Arabic Literature.
Interesting.
That's the book.
wild. That's wild.
Yeah. The gay, how much that's become like more
Because
accepted
this
was...
is sorry,
Go on.
I just want to get back to something because we talked about this when we were talking about China and the difference between the East and the West is how little homosexuality played a role in the Eastern history and how
Yeah,
big
yeah, yeah.
it was in the Western history. I think that's why I said it's mostly
Yeah, like
that's
classical.
that's why I pointed to Spain. Spain was obviously a Western company a country that became under the Eastern ruling.
Eastern ruling? Oh, Eastern
Yeah,
ruling. My bad. Yeah, I see what you're
Eastern
saying, yeah.
ruling. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's what I meant by when. Oh, yeah. I could see it's still in Spain because it was still a European country. You see
Yeah,
what-
yeah.
you see my
Well,
point
yeah,
now?
I mean,
So Chinese, for instance, they have no record of that. That's what I'm trying to say.
I guess we should add the caveat there, no record that we came over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was not something to the point that they had lots of eunuchs.
Maybe that's because they're all gay and they're like, oh man, everybody's too gay. We've got to cut their
Yeah,
balls
yeah,
off. Yeah, we've got to calm these boys down.
Yeah. No, what I want to say is
I think
I find it intriguing that the Chinese
in
never.
elite circles, what they call at the time deviance was prevalent. Like
Is this near the end of the Abbasid? Because people would normally become degenerate and move away from
Decadent.
decadent. Decadent is the
Yeah.
word I was using. Yeah, going to use.
Definitely not in the first 100 years of the Abbasid rule because they weren't.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's lasted for a long time.
they-
It was one of the longest.
They didn't have time for this.
Okay, fair enough.
They fought a
Fighting
lot of
a lot.
wars
Okay.
and conquered a lot of land. So, but definitely, even in Egypt, during the Fatimid Caliphate as well, they had like you hear rumors.
But that's way later.
You hear a
The
lot of
Fatimids, so the
rumors
Fatimid
about like the
Caliphate-
Fatimid
No,
Caliph.
but that makes sense because the Fatimid Caliphate is from a Persian descent. If that makes sense.
Were they more likely to be
They're
gay or
not.
something?
They're not.
No.
So the
Persian
Fatimid
descent.
Caliphs came from Morocco, an Arab tribe that claimed descent from the Prophet. So they're not. They
No,
were
no, no.
Shia.
The Fatimid
They were
Caliphate claimed the descent from the Prophet's cousin, which why I'm saying it's a Persian
cousin,
descent.
Prophet's
Yeah.
daughter, Fatima, his daughter.
Yeah. I mean, but she was married to his cousin, so that's why I
Yeah.
said from his descent of his
Sure.
cousin. Yeah. She was married to his cousin.
But yeah, but that's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
Persian. Like these are
No,
like
but
Persians.
what? Sorry, the Persians still thought the same thing, even though there was still. Do you get what I'm saying now? The Persians are the root of. So we're talking about the Shia and the Sunni
Yeah.
schism,
Mhm.
and the Shia people say that they are. Sorry, they believe that Muhammad's cousin should have been the Prophet.
Not the Prophet, the proper Caliph after he died.
Yeah, the lineage of the kings should have followed that. Right?
Anyways,
And what's it sense?
I mean he was for a certain time, but anyways.
No, after the Prophet died,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
what happened is like
I know there are three before the Him.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to say is, so these people were mainly from Persia before they went to Morocco.
absolutely not. By the way, Persians, like modern day Iranians, they
Iranians.
converted to Shia Islam recently, 500 years ago. It's called the Safasid,
Sophists?
No,
Not the Sophists. Sufi?
Sufi.
No.
Sufi.
It's called the Dawla Sufi.
Yeah, Sufi, yeah, yeah.
No. As-Safawi.
Oh.
Safasid
Sophists?
empire. So they converted all of the modern day Iranians to Shia Islam. They used to be Sunni.
Interesting.
So what you're talking about is Iraq. Iraq were mostly Shia,
Yeah. I see.
and in Egypt as well. But they
to get back
didn't,
to the point.
But they're all gay. Is the point?
Yeah.
We're saying.
Yeah, that's what I was getting back at. So to get back to the point, from ancient Egyptian history, I don't know if you have any information about that. They did not have homosexuality was not something
there
very.
is something that they point to, but there's a lot of like debates about it. It's
I
called
presume the records
It's not,
are.
there are
kind
no
of-
records
the,
of it. Though, that's
um,
what I'm trying to say.
what is it?
No, the
It's a tomb
Chinese.
of two brothers or roommates. We don't know.
Yeah.
Nichiamun and I don't remember the other guy's name. So they're embracing from the mouth.
Yeah.
And they're
No, but
kissing,
that's-
basically kissing.
But that's
and they're
very-
holding hands. So
Well,
they
Muslim
would-
men do that. This is what I was going to bring up about. Like they do that already today, right? This is funny when they'd be homophobic. You'll go to see in like some
Yeah.
Muslim countries, two men holding hands. It's like, oh, it's a friendship thing. It's like, all right, buddy, that's fine, whatever.
That's true.
It's just ironic from like the West is supposed to accept gay is be more accepting of gay people writ large.
Yeah.
And then you see people have an issue with holding hands.
But what I want to get at is this is not a record of. Like, this is
I-
one pair. Yeah. This
Yeah,
is
yeah,
one
I
pair.
mean,
This-
totally.
This is, yeah,
Like,
this
that's
is one
not-
pair. This is not a record of.
I guess people who are in favor of the idea that homosexuality existed for a long time.
I mean,
would
it
point
did
this
exist with the Greeks, for
Yeah.
instance. We're not denying that it existed for a long time, but we're saying that there's no record that we came about in ancient China or ancient Egypt.
I mean, you're not making a
I find
comment.
that- I
You're not
find
making a
that-
comment that it doesn't. If it did exist or
I-
not exist, you're saying that
I'm
the
not saying it
records.
did exist
There's no
or not.
evidence that supports that it does exist. From what
Also,
we've come over.
the other question
No.
is
For these countries, not even in general. I'm just saying for these people.
Yeah, that's what I'm, that's what I'm saying.
like,
Yeah.
yeah.
the other question is, was it really about love or was it about domination?
Yeah, we were talking about this morning. as
In
well.
which context? What you mean, like the ancient, like the Greek,
Yeah.
older,
Yeah, if you
younger
wanted to
relation?
feel dominant or humiliate someone, you would sleep with them so that you could make them feel.
Like it was also prevalent in Canaan during biblical times.
Yeah, the Canaanites.
But it wasn't about having a relationship.
Yeah. Okay.
It was mostly about
Yeah, I get the idea. I get the idea of the Athenian one, or like the Spartan one, that it was more towards the obviously there was an inherent power dynamic, but it was like the mentor-mentoree
Yeah.
type of dynamic.
And the same
Obviously,
thing
there is
for-
some power
for
based
women
in
as
that
well.
by the nature of the thing, but it wasn't like a rape for male, like gay rape for dominance type thing, which is what
Yeah.
you're getting at, is the other extreme of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about other places. Yeah. Oh, this is what I wanted to say when we were talking about it becoming Freud making it more prevalent or being the genesis of it being more easily spoken about. And then we said about how with Alan Turing, like that was in the 40s that it was still illegal. My granddad,
The 50s.
yeah, 50s. Like my granddad grew up when it was completely not acceptable to be gay still, and it was massively frowned upon. And you could
Yeah.
get like beaten up if you were like
I mean,
cross-dressed or
there's a
anything like that.
sketch by sorry to interrupt, but
Yeah,
there's a sketch by Monty Python where the mouse problem.
Which one's this?
The mouse problem. You haven't seen this? Oh, you have to look this
Well, it's not
up.
ringing a bell. I may have seen it, but it's not
The
ringing a bell.
mouth?
The mouse, like
Mouse.
mice.
Oh, okay.
The mice problem, like they
Mice.
say. So how did you start again? Well, you start by dressing like mice, and I start sniffing some cheese.
Oh, this is how you end up like getting converted.
yeah,
Yeah.
It's like well, you don't really know. Like he told them, how do you start? How do you figure out that? Well, it's not. You don't really know. You kind of find yourself like that.
Oh,
It's
okay.
exactly.
Yeah,
it's-
yeah, yeah. I,
Obviously,
see, I think I get what you're saying.
yeah, that was in the 60s, so they're obviously pointing towards that.
Yeah, so what my granddad was saying though, 'cause it was just, we were having just a conversation. I was asking about it, what it was like growing up and how much the world has changed, and then he just told me that it was like, yeah, it's perfectly.
Your granddad.
My granddad, yeah, and he was saying like how you can't do. It was just how bad it was socially. It was seen
How-
as.
how-
And then one day it was like, oh, then it was just. He said this very casually because I don't think he reflected on how much like
That's what I
top-down
was going to say. How
propaganda.
did you think of it?
Yeah, he was like, he had some issue with it, and I think he probably still does on some level, which, yeah, obviously that's whatever. And then he was like, yeah, and then it just became acceptable one day, like, and then I asked him more details, and he was saying it was just pushed as propaganda.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't use the word propaganda. He was just like, I don't know, everybody just kept saying it, and businesses and like the government, I guess it was just everywhere. It was fine to be gay now, and it changed overnight in his mind to being pushed,
Yeah.
which is what the documents say did happen. Like there
Yeah,
are
yeah.
concerted globalist efforts to do that, and they've written
Well,
books about it.
I don't know about that, but
Akram doesn't know about that, but that's
No.
fine. It doesn't
You
make it not
s-
true.
I mean, we make it very like conspiratorial, like we
But define conspiratorial, I guess. Because I could, if
Like,
you gave me the
there's-
definition, I could say yes.
I mean,
completely or no.
if I
That's not what I
were gay, I would love to have rights. So
You'd have
I
what,
would,
rights?
huh?
You'd have rights. Yeah. So these
Yeah,
things are
so
not.
I
So,
would push for that. Like
Yeah, but
the
the
same
things-
thing for any like
so these things are normally
underclasses.
Yeah. So
Sorry,
what?
can I
right?
say something in response to that before you say? Sometimes, this is true, but sometimes you don't get the opportunity unless someone pushes.
Yeah, so the point, the word is astroturf. So you have like ground
Sure.
up thing, which is called like grassroots movements.
Dude, anything is astroturf. Like how do you think we get no work during weekends? It's astroturf. Like everything is.
So this is
astroturf.
what I'm-
Do
this
you
is why I
think
asked-
people would just allow you to do whatever you want?
So this is why. So again, yes. This is why we need to get to the definition of what you mean by conspiratorial. If you're going to say conspiratorial is, it was organized by these massive groups that then started pushing propaganda, then yeah, it's conspiratorial because that's what happened. If you're defining it a different way, then it's going against what Hal already said. Then no, that's not conspiratorial. It's not conspiratorial. So it depends on the definition you're going to give.
I think countries have cultural shifts that happen every time. Like,
So the
right?
difference would be
You can say the same thing about slavery.
Yeah, we don't disagree with that.
Yeah, no, I
There's
disagree
no
with
All of a
Yeah.
sudden, like we no
Hey,
no
Akram,
longer have slavery.
There's no disagreement
right?
on
So-
that.
Yeah.
But what we're saying is what causes these cultural shifts.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what we're saying.
So if it comes if it's because after World War II, particularly a load of postmodernists came together and did analysis and psychology and realized,
What
if
do
we
you
start,
mean by postmodernist?
like the type of philosophy.
Nah, don't
No, but
do
like,
that.
no, I want to
Don't
know.
do that.
I
So I need to do more. I would need to do more prep if we're going to get like that deep into. So like the kind of French philosophers
Like
that kind
Sartre. Let's talk about Sartre. Let's talk about
this general type of use. Okay,
Seriously.
we'll,
He
I don't want to
is,
get
he
bogged down.
definitely is.
Wait,
Okay,
wait,
let
let
me-
me finish the point. Let me
Yeah,
finish the
yeah,
point
go
because
ahead.
this is going to be a separate
Go
thing.
ahead, go ahead.
I'm using postmodernists here not as like a technical philosophical family. I'm saying it as like these kind of leftoid postmodernists, use the word broadly, that have pushed these types of social changes, came about in the 50s. They were a very internationalist group that planned these things, wrote white papers, did a lot of like writing, did a lot of psychological analysis and published it. And then through like a globalist enterprise, started pushing it as in a organized way as propaganda on Western populations. This is very well documented. If that's conspiratorial, because you asked if it's conspiratorial, then yes, it's conspiratorial. We're both agreeing though that's just how the world operates. But it wasn't an organic thing that came from like people were just like, you know what, I don't really see the big issue of having gay people about, and then it just kind of naturally came out without like government or big organizations being involved. It wasn't that mostly.
And before
It
you
was-
say
it was a
that, I mean,
different type of
before you
thing.
say nothing is natural, no, there are natural things in the sense that it happens without any interference of groups of people.
I think
It's just
you
something
give,
that comes about.
what the so-called postmodernists a lot of credit and a lot of like power that they actually didn't have. I don't
Okay.
think.
No. So I have something
someone
to say
like-
about that. Okay, I have
I
something
don't
to say
think
about
it, like who.
This is
read-
true. This is true. We don't disagree on that. But let me put the caveat right there. The caveat is they did not have any power, but then the people who had the power to actually change that and help them push it were the ones that saw an opportunity to control the people a bit more. So they pushed these ideologies. If you want to
There's
say
a lot
Yeah.
of different. There's a lot of different factions.
I
in it.
think
So if you're talking about
I think it's
postmodernists-
about elections. Like Obama, for example, he didn't.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. You're
It's
agreeing.
about vote.
You're agreeing
voting.
with me. No, wait.
It's about
You're agreeing
voting.
with me. I just said what you literally said. I said people who had the power to push it and saw the opportunity to control people were the ones who pushed it. So it's about elections. I saw an opportunity to control people in my side, so I'm going to double down on this
I partially agree.
humanitarian cause. I'm going to say that, I am for everyone. I want these people to exist, and I want these people to exist, and I want this idea to exist, and I want this idea. That's why this is an opportunity to control people.
I partially agree. I agree that some people that when they're involved about like their incentive structures to win elections, they'll do that. There's also a class of people above that don't really have to care about elections that are pushing this
Okay,
thing
but
for other types of
question-
global machinations.
Do you think the intention of that was nefarious?
It depends how you define
What do you
nefarious.
mean nefarious?
Like they
I would define it as
wanted.
nefarious. They would define it as perfectly moral and good if they believed in morals. Which
Okay,
they're
so
probably
it's
moral
it's your
relativists, but-
subjective.
You use the word
like-
nefarious, which is like moral implications, but I'm aware.
Yeah,
obviously,
to you.
To me, then yeah, I think it's immoral what they're doing. Yeah, I think it's nefarious.
So what is your
can you-
solution
can
to
you-
this?
can you-
Like,
sorry, can you state exactly what is immoral? Because people don't want to.
Yeah, like the idea of like pushing these ideas. I think I've got to be careful how I word
That's
it now
what I'm saying,
because
that's what I'm
because
saying,
yeah. Maybe I'll have to answer a different time. I'll add some caveats now and think about how I want to word it. Because I just gave the example of like gay rights in the 50s, and my example was like, oh, gay people used to get beat up in the street. So I don't want to give an answer now that makes it sound like when we stopped beating up gays in the street, this was degenerate and immoral. So
Yeah, that's what. That's what
it's a
I'm
broad.
trying
It's
to
a much.
clarify.
I've now swapped to
I
talking
think
about
what
the
you
most,
mean- okay, I
the
think
most
what-
broadest of things.
Let me say
about
what I think you mean.
how it's
What Jack
changed.
means is
Yeah.
what Jack means is the people who just keep pushing ideologies are the people who are doing immoral things. Not
I disagree. Yeah,
necessarily-
and the most. I'll come up with
Not
a better
necessarily
answer.
the ideas.
I also disagree. Their moral precepts are different to my moral precepts, so I inherently see it as immoral. So
Yeah, sorry. Let me
Yeah,
say
and-
something as
yeah.
well. They are doing it not because they care about whatever ideology they are pushing. They're doing it because it's an opportunity to control people, which is the immoral thing, I guess.
So, and I would also add that like just by the nature of like have people having different sets of morals, that even if they were doing it and being
Sure.
completely and utterly genuine, like they think it's the most moral. Obviously, I can respect that they're not doing evil for
Okay.
evil's sake in their own hearts. But like if I just disagreed on the morals, then I'm still going to see it as immoral.
Immoral,
By the nature
yeah.
of we have different moral foundations. But I'd have to.
That's good,
This
yeah.
is a project, a subject that would be good to get in on this type of podcast. I think because there's some other books that I was going to reread with my brother that cover this stuff well. So like when you're going to get into the definition of postmodernist, I haven't spoke about this or articulated it enough to give you
Well, I don't think
a proper,
you can.
a proper definition. Were you think? Sorry, when I was saying postmodernist, were you thinking of like the chattering class of like French elite and like German elite like philosopher types, or what were you thinking of as like the group of humans that encapsulates?
I have two thoughts about this. The first
Yeah.
one is I don't think you can label any person as a postmodernist. It's not a philosophy or a practice per se. It's more of a state of the world that we live in right now.
That's getting too technical, though.
That's
just
like a
getting-
description of the world, right?
But again,
it's
when you
semantical
say
now.
postmodernist,
What you're
and
saying
you
is semantical
label
now.
some people as postmodernist, I think you mean like French intellectuals, like Marxist intellectuals,
Yes.
like Michel Foucault, Jean
Yes.
Baudrillard.
Yeah, these
people.
types. Yeah.
Again,
When I was using that's why I said earlier I was using a broader sense of that as well. Like the ideas that derive
I
from
read
people
some
like
of their stuff. I don't think it has like all of these nefarious elements that you're ascribing to them. Like it's not like
So I'm saying, I guess what I'm picturing then. Sorry for over talking. Like you'd have like these chattering class of intellectuals. There's also like Marxist globalists that are already in governments and like doing global things. Some of them genuinely of these like people that are in charge actually have like actual bureaucratic power, agree with some of the stuff. Other people in that bureaucratic thing say on the face of it they agree with it because they can leverage it to get power. I don't think like those philosophers had like
What do you mean you
immediate real
don't
world
find?
power.
What do you mean, like Sartre, for instance? He you know, he's sharing his wife, right?
Huh?
You know, he's sharing his wife.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I knew that.
Like,
yeah.
but-
I haven't read any of his
Sartre-
work, but I knew that.
Sartre, that was something complete, and he was fine. But how? What do you mean? So if someone finds that nefarious, how do you mean they didn't? What it will have? You will have to.
Do we have a mandate now? In
No. Let me
could
clarify
people
my
share their
point.
wives?
Let me clarify
By
my
the way,
point.
how
Let
many
me clarify
how many
my
gay
point.
senators?
Let
in
me
this country?
clarify my point.
How many gay senators?
Let me clarify.
Okay.
You have not let me finish my point. Why are
Ali,
you
will you make
asking
your
me?
goddamn point, please?
So what I'm trying to make, the point that I'm trying to make is.
What are you trying to say, dude?
It's
Sorry.
the point that I'm trying to make is, you can't. You are the type of person who would not think of something some sort of change. If we're talking in the 50s, sharing your wife was not something common. So if he advocates for that, then it's obviously nefarious when it comes to that change in ideology. So when you say, "Oh, it's
I
not
don't know.
nefarious,"
I don't know about that. I
No,
don't know
you
if-
definitely know about it. If someone gets castrated for being gay, you definitely know that someone sharing his wife is not something that would be looked upon in the 50s. You can't say I don't know about
Well,
that.
how
It's
we?
obvious
No, I don't know.
He was
This
saying
is
he
such
did-
a
he
gay
did-
way
no,
of putting it.
No, he's saying he didn't know. You're saying Akram
I-
himself didn't know the knowledge about him sharing his wife, right? Is that what you're
Yeah, I
getting?
didn't know.
Yeah, he said he didn't know
Yeah,
that.
so
That
how
was
come
knowledge.
you claiming then that you know that you say they're not nefarious? You can't if you didn't know something
I'm
about
talking.
them.
We're
then-
talking. Okay, Sartre is not one of these people. Like they.
But what do we mean by
Sartre,
nefarious? Like,
Foucault,
we're-
Foucault, his wife, what was her name? I can't remember her name.
Simone de Beauvoir.
Yes,
Okay.
Simone de Beauvoir. They were all postmodernists. They were all most of the the second half, maybe from 40s until sort of 2000s. Most of these existentialists are postmodernists.
But what do you mean by nefarious? This is why I think we're.
This is
maybe
why I
we don't have
said.
different
This
words
is why I
there.
said you can't claim that.
Well, we didn't get. Yeah. What did you mean by nefarious?
No, I was just asking you. Like
What I felt was nefarious?
Like what did they do exactly?
Yeah, it's like pushing these ideas that would destabilize society.
Like what? Like gayness, for example.
No, I could give you a very perfect
Okay,
example.
give me.
Existentialism
Shouldn't you?
existentialism is not for everyone. You can't advocate that to be a social basis because not everyone. People need purpose. If people can't find purpose, they struggle to live. And if you look at the current society, more than
Have you
half
read Existentialism?
yeah, I have read existentialism.
Because you sound like you have not read anything.
No,
about
I
existentialism.
know. Like Foucault, for instance, would say that you make your own purpose. You exist because this life inherently. Foucault, Sartre, they say life does not have an inherent purpose, and you just do it, which I'm fine with. I'm not saying that, but when you push this ideology, what I'm not fine with is pushing such an ideology on the society, even though maybe they were not conscious of that, but people, average person, does not know how to cope without a purpose. Saying that life is inherently purposeless is destabilizing society. Even if it is true, which I do not disagree with, I'm just making it clear that I don't disagree with what they are saying, pushing such an ideology just because they think it's right, without any sense of responsibility.
How did they push it?
The fact that they wrote books about it, the fact that
they should never write.
No, I
they
didn't
should
say
never
that. I didn't say
written
that.
anything about.
I've got a different example once you two have finished.
I
this
didn't say
exchange.
writing.
Exchange.
No, they pushed it on the society, and you know by what I mean.
How?
When you teach it in college, when you teach it to people in college, when you teach it to your students, and you raise a
They
whole
teach all
no
kind
no
of
when
things.
when they raise a whole generation on these ideologies, that's this.
They teach all kind of things.
So what-
I didn't claim I didn't. What do you mean
Yeah, what
by
kind of
that?
comment is
I
that?
never said that. I never said they only taught that, but they taught that. I never.
So what?
That's not
So
a
what?
good thing to do.
Okay,
That's what
so
I'm
so
saying.
they taught you this, right?
Not me, but the other
Okay.
some other
And
generation.
why do you feel like you're the arbiter of what should be taught and what should not be taught?
I'm not an arbiter, but when you find their ideologies turning the society into more than half of the society
Okay.
to being medicated, psychologically medicated,
Okay.
because they
So
can't
it
find
has nothing
purpose
to do with the economic system that we live in. It just has to do
What do
with
you mean?
some ideas of like existentialism and whatnot.
I can give a more solid example of how this stuff
So
is
the
pushed.
economic system that we live in has nothing to do with our conditions and our the current prevalence of
Yeah, I could give some examples of
depression
current.
and
I
all
could give
this.
examples of the current
that you
economic-
can't find
Yeah,
enough time
I could
to
find.
Well,
work
dude,
on
I've got a very
yourself.
good. I've got.
Yeah.
something
I'll
that
just say
makes very
this: I
concrete.
could find good examples of the current economic systems of people not being depressed.
Sure.
Yeah, that doesn't. It's not totally because
But
of
the economic system is not homogeneous all
I
over
am
the
not.
place.
What?
it's
Say
not,
that again.
It's not homogeneous. Like
I don't disagree. I don't disagree. I'm not saying it's. I'm not saying we not.
And I'm not
cogs-
also
Sorry,
arguing
I'm not
that-
saying people are not cogs in a machine. That's not what I'm saying. They are cogs in a machine because of the economic system. However, if they had purpose in life, if you were a cog in a machine, like let's say the medieval England,
Okay,
let's say.
so-
Sorry, let me give this example. You were a cog in a machine as a farmer. Your crops are taken for war, and you don't really have a say in anything that happens in the country. You were a cog in a machine in a more unconscious way, but you had a purpose. You had, I have to reproduce because God. I'm going to heaven, and which I'm not pushing the ideology of God, but I'm saying is economic systems were always that you were a cog in a machine for the bigger class for the elite class. So you can't say it's solely because of the economic system. You can't blame it on just because big companies are using you. It's because you know why they use it. Why consumerism is so big? Because you don't have anything to make you content in your life. So what do? You spark your dopamine by whatever comes your way, but a new product, by numbing your brain.
I think you would agree a lot with Sartre and Foucault.
That's why I'm
like,
saying. That's exactly what.
So I've
wait,
got a-
that's literally. Sorry, that's literally. Dude, that's literally what I said. I said I don't disagree with what they said, but I disagree with the fact that they pushed it in society.
So I've got
you're not hearing my
I've got a
point.
more concrete version of how they actually pushed it, and I know what your critique of it's going to be, and it'll be a fair one because I already said that I was using postmodernist in a very loose term. Is that after World War II, the people that won the war, that are these globalist types, they came together and they wanted to make sure that a right-wing leader like Hitler could never come forth again. So they did a lot of psychological analysis, and the people had these types of ideologies that everything was a social construct and they could rebuild the world how they wanted. They did a lot of psychological analysis and big reports, and you can read these reports, and what the report said was, it's things that lead to like extremist right-wing stuff that led to Hitler were things like strong family units, believing in Christ, having a strong male role model, patriarch of the household. They listed off all of these types of things that are associated with like human well-being and traditional values, and then they pushed propaganda campaigns because they'd already perfected this through World War I and World War II, and even going back to the 1880s, and they started pushing this stuff to consciously and deliberately change society. That's what was being pushed. So when my granddad makes comments was like, oh yeah, it just suddenly became fine to be gay one day. That was those propaganda campaigns. The part of the nexus for these types of thoughts came from those types. I mean, it also came from like Masonic, Marxist thought and Masonic lodges that were based in London in the middle of the 1800s as well, which also go back to the 1600s, and banking elites. But if we're talking just like the postmodernist types and this push since World War II,
Well,
that's
tone
from
it
that.
down with the anti-Semitic group.
That's what I'm saying, dude. This is.
Just
Banking
to make a
elites.
bigger point.
Well, no. What does that kind of
I-
think? What does everyone hear the response to that point?
I mean, what you're saying is, I don't know, man. I mean, obviously, I have a response to this, but you're not gonna.
You can
like
call me
it.
retarded if you want.
No, I'm not
That's
gonna
what you
call
want
you
to say.
retarded, but like, this is exactly like I heard that a lot from paleoconservatives. I'm gonna use
What's the paleo? I haven't heard the phrase paleo. I could infer, but what does it mean?
paleo means ancient conservative, you know. But like it's these.
Sorry, the fact that
I want to hear the. No, let me articulate it.
the fact that you heard it from petty conservatives doesn't deny it.
Yeah, I want to. I want the
Sure.
full
But
point
I'm
articulated.
trying to avoid saying far right.
It still doesn't deny
Whatever
No.
it.
phrasage,
No,
whatever
it
phrasage,
does-
man. I want to hear the full point because we can discuss language
Yeah.
later.
Everything you said is basically you can read history and then you can pick some instances where you can say, okay, they forced that down our throat, but you didn't, like, for example, talk about the economic situation.
Okay.
The underlying economic structure that we live in, which pushes, for example, destroys families, for example. It's anti-nuclear, anti-family.
So you can
Right.
have this point, but if the
But
overarching
it's
thing is
not-
like it's a
and-
centralized
and the
propaganda
people
machine that
that
pushes
you-
this down people's
and the
throats.
people-
So are you denying?
Because I read them, okay? So
Yeah.
the people that you're railing against, the postmodernists,
the globalist types.
I don't think they were globalists. I don't think they were.
Do you
I
think
think,
now
what do you mean by
they were?
globalist?
They definitely
What,
were.
globalist
Okay,
is
okay.
what?
So let's
Globalist
start-
is what?
Like pushing
Is-
for
is it-
pushing for like global government, bureaucratic like type states across the world, centralized control, the destruction of the nation state.
that stems from big corporations, conglomerates.
That's a
what
very
you're
low
talking-
level. So where do you think these ideas
these
came
are the
from?
these are
It's
the
just
people.
the incentive structure of the economic system,
These
and,
are the
there's
people-
no ideology
Follow the
above
money.
that.
Follow the money.
Is
They
that
don't
that's
care.
it? That's
they
all
don't
there
care.
is.
They
There's
don't
no.
care.
So these people are just
So-
ideologically.
Sorry, Jack, let me
For example,
time out,
for
time
example,
out, time out.
Target. We're
Time out.
fine with the gays when Trump
Time out.
said no.
Time out. Just let me say something. I will make that connection. So if you let's ask the question: why are they pushing these ideologies of controlling? Why are they changing society? It's because they want to make more money. Yeah, we could agree with that. That's fine. That's not bad. But what we're saying is these things happened. It does not mean that the motive is not money. We haven't talked about the motive. We only.
I'm
talked
saying the
about-
motive is different though, but I'll give it over for the point.
No, I
that-
think because as you mentioned before.
It's yes, and I'm saying like that money is like one level of it, but these things were pushed for like deeper ideological reasons.
Which
as well.
is
It depends where you start it from, man. So then you get the stuff like stuck to the like the mystic teachings and Gnostic teachings that like were put forward in like Masonic lodges and stuff like that. They kind of
I don't see.
this is where I'd have to go and reread some stuff to be able to articulate it well. But it's deeper than money. It's not just like I want money, therefore I'll do whatever to get money. There is like a deeper spiritual
after
element
some
to these
point-
things
after
that they believe and wrote about, and it's well documented. It is documented. It's fine if you haven't read those books. It's fine to think that my books that I've read are retarded. I know you're not saying these things, but I'm saying this because people will be listening and maybe.
I don't know,
you're
but
a
I can
conduit
make
for
the
their
same
thoughts.
argument in the opposite direction. I said, okay, we're Christianity has been pushed down our throat everywhere. In every continent Christians went, they pushed Christianity. Is that like?
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. Yeah,
So,
yeah.
I mean,
people do that. Yeah, people died for the faith to go push it places. Yeah, we see the video when they went to like Japan and were getting slaughtered. just
Maybe
trying to,
the-
like,
You know,
fucking
I don't
rebel.
even-
What's the point though?
you know,
What would be
You know,
the
the point
intent-
is
what would be
the
the
point
inference
is
of that
the
intent?
the point is it's perspectival. Like you
The
think
moral aspect of it is
Yes,
Yeah.
you think
I
that
I never said anything about that.
maybe they're anti-Christians, and I'm fine with that. Like maybe and Christians
He's
might be
saying
anti.
maybe those postmoderns are just anti-Christian. They're not necessarily. Do you get what I said?
You mean like they take their ideology purely as a stance against Christianity, or not as a separate thing that is just happens to be or is opposed to Christianity?
I mean, probably they have critiques of Christianity.
Yeah, I'm not
Well,
denying
my
any of
point
this.
is-
Even the
to get-
first
But you see the difference
supposed
of what I'm saying. Like,
postmodernist.
you could come up with a thing saying whatever I do, I will define myself as just being anti-Christ, anti-Christian, or you could say I've come up with this own other theology or like set theology
That happens to be anti-Christ.
and it by the nature of it, it is anti-Christ.
Yeah, but
These
I
are two
want to
different
say
motivations.
something. I want to say something in response to that. My point was not about even religion. It was not about the family. It was not about that at all. My point was about that they took away purpose, having a purpose, a life purpose.
They didn't take
from
away
people.
purpose.
No,
They
they
didn't
did.
take
They did. No, that's exactly what I'm saying.
They did not.
No, the fact that
What is the purpose that they took away?
that you live for a bigger thing, even if
Like
it was
what?
not necessarily God, if it was just going somewhere after you die.
They didn't take that. They didn't take
No,
that.
they said that.
No.
They said
I mean,
that. They said
towards-
it.
not.
towards Akram's, I agree with Ali, but towards Akram's point, maybe what you were trying to get at is the fact that like Nietzsche already said that the seed of losing Christianity was already gone, but definitely like the postmodernists were like a huge fucking nail and jump to push it out of society
What do you
in
mean
a
they didn't
solid
take
way. So they definitely contributed massively to getting rid of it.
What I'm talking about is the collective purpose. That's what they took. But you still,
Which is all what you
No.
needed for society.
Wait,
what
what's
do
the
you mean
distinction you're
collective
trying to make?
purpose?
I don't get
the
it.
distinction I'm trying to make is you can have purpose in your life. You have to construct.
Dude, I never said you can't. I never said you. Why are you making me say things I did
didn't
not
say that.
say?
I didn't say that. What I'm against is having a collective purpose. Because it doesn't work like
wait,
that.
Wait, you're against that or the
Sorry,
postmodernists are
I know
against that, or
exactly what he's saying.
what's being said?
So
I'm a bit lost.
he's saying that they took away having a collective purpose, which is living.
The postmodernists
some-
did from the
yeah,
West,
yeah, in
Western
some
civilizations.
utilitarian way. But what I'm trying to say is, what this has done to this is because you like maybe you like being more independent, which is fine. But what I'm saying is pushing that on normal people. I'm not this like I am more independent. I would like to have my own purpose. I like
So
to
it's-
just hear me
wait.
out. Just hear me out. Let me finish my point. I would like to have my own purpose to make it myself. What I'm saying though is, even though I agree with that, I disagree that everyone could live like that. That's my point. My point is
So
that
what?
society can't live
So
like
what?
that.
They didn't claim they write for everyone. Even Nietzsche himself.
What?
He said, "I'm not writing for everyone."
No, he was.
No.
He was.
Okay.
His message was no.
His mes-
Nietzsche's message was anything that stops you from being your best self, you fuck that. That's Nietzsche's message.
What I'm saying is, he didn't write for everyone. Like, not everyone.
You're saying
He
Nietzsche didn't
wanted
claim-
everyone to know what he was saying. What do
No.
you mean he didn't write
No.
for
Who
everyone?
you're saying Nietzsche added like a caveat of saying like,
Okay.
everybody can read this, but most people won't
Whom did he write?
do well off of it. Is
Sorry,
that what you mean?
whom did he write for?
For the free spirits. That's what his message was.
I get what Akram's
So-
saying. I could write something and say, I want everybody to read this. This is inevitable.
Nietzsche wasn't
but most of you
about
aren't going to get it, and you're going to be fucked.
First of all, I'm not
collective
about Nietzsche.
overcoming.
I'm not about Nietzsche. I'm about the
He's-
French people. I'm about the French existentialists, not Nietzsche. I
Same,
don't
same.
count
Do you
Nietzsche.
think-
No. I don't count Nietzsche as an existentialist.
Do you think Michel Foucault is writing for a peasant in
Yes,
Malaysia?
I think someone
think
like
so.
Simone. I think someone like Simone de Beauvoir. She thought she was. I thought someone like Simone de Beauvoir. She thought she was actually. What's the words? Okay, she thought she was definitely opinionated, and she thought that she should push her opinion. Sartre thought that he should push his opinion.
Like everyone else.
Not like Nietzsche. Nietzsche was not interested in pushing his opinion
So why did he write about it?
because he was feeling that he needed he needed to let these things out in the sense that not push. There's a difference between pushing my opinion that I think. No, hear me out. There's a difference between feeling my opinion is superior to other opinions, and I need to push that, which is what the French existentialists felt, and they took pride in feeling that they could construct their own purpose. Nietzsche did not take pride. He took pride in the fact that he could. What's the word? He took pride in. Nietzsche was not pushing it in the sense that. It was like out of repression. I feel like Nietzsche. Nietzsche went to an asylum in the end, right?
Yeah.
So he was doing it for obviously different reasons. Not like I'm the most superior human being and I'm just going to push my ideology. That's not what was Nietzsche doing. And I don't count him as existentialist because he did not just say construct your own. He said whatever you think your purpose is, just do everything to get to it. That is pure emotional. That is not just logical or dry
Yeah, I mean,
existentialism.
never. No one said that Nietzsche was.
What? Yeah.
about
So no,
nationalism.
because you brought it as an example of no. I did not talk about Nietzsche. I meant when I said these people, I meant these. So my point is, to get back to my point is, you can't push this. You
I don't
will
know, man. I read
destabilize-
Foucault. He
you
talks
will
about
destabilize
power and
society.
how power permeates across society. How like knowledge, for example, can shape us. How the prison system.
What do you wanna-
is
what do you mean by
Like
that?
it's not like this.
I never claimed this was the only thing.
Life
he
has no
pushed.
purpose.
Wait, I never claimed.
No one talks
hear
about.
me out.
If you, for example, if you read Gilles Deleuze, for example, he never talks
I
about
never
this.
claimed
these
this
people.
was the only thing they taught. I'm not saying they were malicious doing that. I am saying they did that and it ended up doing that to the society.
No,
I'm not saying they were being malicious doing it.
no. We're heavily influenced by capitalism and Christianity more than some French intellectual. Way influenced.
So to the extent
I don't
that-
think
so
you know
you're
the
saying-
history of the US in the 50s.
So yeah,
You
so
need to
to
go
the
and read
extent,
that.
to the
You need
extent
to
that
go
the
and read
US has
that.
changed since, or the West has changed ideologically
Dude.
since World War II, you think that's mostly because of the economic system?
I'm
Christianity
sorry.
falls apart.
I'm
and
sorry.
it's-
Who controls Congress? Who controls Congress? No. I'm not. I'm talking about the demographic of people who control Congress.
What do you mean? Who votes for Congress?
No, who, like majority of people. They were mostly Christian men.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Look, for
Christians, a lot
example,
of them are
at
soft
the
Christians.
Republican Party.
What do you mean by that?
The amount of black people in Congress for Republican is just one man.
What's that
one
to do
man.
with Christians? He's probably what? Yeah.
He's Christian,
Yeah.
right? So the vast majority of people, they never read, they don't know who Gilles Deleuze is or Felix
You don't
Guattari.
have to know who Joe. So
No,
okay,
you
okay,
have
okay.
to.
So if we went to like a psychology
They're
class
not
at,
okay.
UNC,
Most of them are most of them graduated from law school. Most of them graduated from
Okay, I
business
have a
school.
very
Let me
good
go get
They
someone.
didn't
Let me go
graduate
get
from.
Jack, I have a very
Did-
good
you got-
on your
yeah. Yeah.
I have a very good. I attended the graduation ceremony for UNC. One of the UNC friends, and they were saying it was a completely political speech. You can't do that.
And if you went to
You're not a political entity. You're not teaching politics. You're not teaching politics. You're not even a politics professor. You're not even a philosophy professor, and you're giving the students who know nothing of life, whom more than 99% of them don't know how to think for themselves. You're giving them a political speech. What do you think of that? And that was, I'm not going to say this is in the 50s. This is 2 months ago. What do you think of that?
Why?
What do you mean they're not pushing people?
Or yeah,
That's
so
what they
let's
did
just,
for
let's just
universities.
answer this. And yeah, if you went to a UNC psychology class and you got to interview everybody in that class and work out what their philosophy are, you would find out that most of them are like most of their ideas stem from like Enlightenment thinking. There'll be a lot of postmodernist stuff that have been pushed on them just through society and then at college, and a lot of them, almost all of them will be feminists. None of them, the percentage that have actually read the books and the people.
But the
that would be
ideology
unbelievable-
is circulating
unbelievable.
through
It's still
society.
there. Yeah, it's still there. Where did that come from?
Yeah, do they control Congress? That's the question.
Okay, so what's the point about controlling Congress?
This is the entity
Why you
that passes laws.
No!
Okay.
For God's sake, man! That's been going on in the news for like the past 2 months now.
So
you
you don't-
genuinely
so you
think
think-
Congress passes laws?
Or like
God's sake.
so the law.
Who does?
Or are you implying?
Who
by,
does?
Okay, so you wait.
I'm not gonna answer that. I'm not
Who
gonna answer
does?
that. I'm not gonna
Wait,
answer
no,
that.
Akram. So the implication is that when you pass laws, that's what to control the country. That's what like determines the governance of the country, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you think that Congress has like a large effect on controlling the country, or do you think there's bigger powers at play that actually control the country then?
If bigger powers exist, they control it through Congress with lobbying.
So what does it matter if the politicians
Oh,
are
we,
bought
so we
off?
have now we have
Even if
like
I-
a
no,
feminist lobby now.
No,
in
it's
this
even
country.
if I'm in, I'll just agree with you for the sake
Or the
of
gay
that,
lobby.
that is how if there's the bigger powers, if they want to control, they do it through Congress. I'll just say that that's how it is for all of it. Even if that was the case, why does it matter if they're all soft Christians if they're bought out by these bigger entities that do have these ideologies? Why would that even matter then? What are you talking about?
Let me put it this way. Do you think these soft
if-
Christians?
if-
let me put it this way. Do you think these soft Christians in the Congress really are Christians, or are they following the money?
With the lobby, you've already agreed with that. If
We
you're saying
agreed
that
that they are being
if the
lobbied,
lobbyists
yeah.
already
Sure.
bought them off to do
Sure,
what they
but-
wanted, then it doesn't matter what they're
But-
It doesn't matter what their ideology is.
They're already, yeah.
Again, look at the people that you're claiming that have all the power. They are.
I am not
they're
claiming
not-
anyone had the power. I did not claim anyone
You're
had the
claiming
power.
Congress
Like
had
the
the power.
no,
I did not
I'm talking
claim
about
anyone
like
had the power.
the postmodernists, the
No,
feminists.
we did not say they
Yes,
had the power.
these
No, no,
things-
no, no, no. Wait, we did not say they had the power. We said they had ideologies, and some other people used these ideologies to be pushed. I did not claim.
Sure,
the
Christians
power.
have ideologies, and some other
But I
people
didn't
use
deny this. We didn't
We
deny
agreed
this.
on this,
We
though.
agreed
So
on
what's
this
the point? What's the whole like?
The
spiel?
whole point is that you should not push the example that
Because
I gave
you
about
don't
the
like
UNC. No. The example that I gave about UNC, for instance.
It's a
is-
liberal college,
My point is.
a private liberal
That's my
college.
point.
If you go to,
let me finish. You asked me my point. Why
you
are
keep
you
cutting
interrupting
me,
me?
and I can't cut you.
No. I didn't cut you. You asked me what's your point, and I say my point, but you don't want to listen to it.
Okay.
My point is, even if it's a liberal college, whatever the excuse is, that's what they did in the 50s. The people graduating from universities as well, were told these speeches. That's how the ideologies were pushed, even though if it was endorsed by the higher powers that we don't know anything about. That's my point.
My point is
So-
that I'm not making any. I hadn't tried to. I was just keeping the conversation to not whether it should or should not be done. Obviously, I implied. I just said, yeah, it goes against my moral precepts. But then I moved back from that and was just trying to describe the nature of how the system evolved through history, to my understanding.
Yeah, Jack was not making any claims. I was making a claim that it destabilizes
I mean, for the record, I do
society.
Yeah,
think
but
it's
like
immoral,
the same
but that's
thing I
not
can
what-
say
that's not
about,
what
for
we're saying.
example, Liberty University. It's a Christian university. Can I say, oh, you can't say a political speech or like a
No, so again, you're
religious speech?
inferring that I'm saying you should or should not do these things. What I was trying to get
Akram,
at
you
point
keep
is like,
inferring
this
assumptions
is
that we
the
don't
nature.
say.
This is the nature of how it
No.
evolved. Are you disagreeing about like my synopsis of how it evolved?
I
That's
mean,
what I was
you
discussing.
you painted a picture of like a little bit of conspiracy, a little bit of like some what is it? The Masonic temple or something like that.
Yeah, I said these things. Yes.
I don't know about any of that. Like
Fair enough, man. Yeah, fair enough.
I'm
Do you
not
have any
gonna say,
comments
oh,
when you
you're
say-
right or you're wrong. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just feel like it could be. It's the natural evolution of cultures.
I disagree. From what I've read, I
No, it's
disagree.
not natural.
Yeah.
Unless,
Yeah.
what's your definition of natural?
I don't mean by natural that you don't have artificial elements. I mean that
Well,
it's
be on a
not
scale, I agree with
necessarily
that.
like we have these globalists that control
mean, you could say that-
everything and they're pushing us towards this end goal. I don't know why. Like why do they care? Like if some trans guy I don't know like had healthcare, like why would anyone care?
Yeah. Okay.
That's like
We can get
to
to this
me.
on a different episode, man.
To me,
This is
it's
a good
not.
setup. This is very
it's not
good
about
setup
money
to
or
ask
even
these
about
questions.
control. Like I feel like
Because that's what you're
people
looking
on the
at
other
such a
side is
narrow,
trying
a
to-
narrow element of why it would be like, oh,
No.
why wouldn't a trans person get healthcare? Is missing like the wider, deeper ideology of the whole thing that spanned a century and a half or several centuries or whatever.
I agree with you about the economic element of it. Maybe there's some social elements for immigration, for example, but
This is good, man. We'll read and we'll come back on with receipts. Then we'll come back. This will be good
But,
episodes. This will be good episodes. This is a good conversation. But yeah, that's fine then. So if we want to now talk, once we've got over that, if we want to now talk about like the morals of it, of like should or should not be, like the normative statement of whether it ought to be pushed or not, that was a completely separate issue than my descriptive claim of what the world was like.
I want
history is
something.
like.
I want to not retract, but I want to clarify something as well.
Yeah.
It's fine to destabilize society if you think things are complete and utter bollocks. If you think things are shit, yeah, that's probably a good. Like you need to take it into your own hands.
I mean, in the most general
like
sense,
I'm
I'm fine
not
with like
start killing
if-
people, but what I mean is if they genuinely thought that things were shit in society, that they needed to destabilize it in that sense that they did now, then it's obviously I think it would be fine.
Yes.
But I don't think they thought it was shit.
Yeah,
Shit.
and I
They just
agree.
thought they were superior in the sense that they could think for themselves and have their own purpose.
Regardless, so I don't know enough about it to make a comment on that. But in the broadest sense of, I would respect men that if
Who
they
would do that, yeah.
if they truly thought that like this is what the moral system is, and then they have the balls to go and try and change the world.
Yes.
That I respect.
That's what I mean, yeah.
Obviously, if we get into then the details of like, well, they have a completely different moral system to me. They're like, well, they're my enemy, I guess, or there's something I should do something.
But
Another
do you
moral man,
think-
a man that I deem moral should or me should push
But do you
against
think-
that. But the fact that somebody would bother to try to
Is
change the
respectable,
universe,
yeah.
that aspect is respectable.
But do you think that would lead to a lot of clashes and
Definitely.
Yeah, man, but
Clashes
that's
is
very
part of
violent.
a human society, though. It's
Yeah.
part of human nature, sorry. Clashes are part
Well,
of human
my
nature.
idea
Remember, I'm
is-
just talking like the narrow, that spark inside of a man that would do that. That's a commendable thing. Obviously, it can be directed towards good or evil by my moral precepts, but it's
The idea
it has the
itself
capacity
is
to be
good,
noble. Yeah,
Yes.
I think people get what I'm saying. Would get what I'm
Yeah.
saying. What do you think? I mean, you must agree
Well,
with that to a
I
certain
mean,
degree.
I can summarize all my like moral point of view is like basically give everyone the rights they deserve, and it doesn't like really it doesn't.
Why do
really
they
matter
deserve any
if-
rights?
Huh?
Maybe we should, wait, how long have we been recording?
Because,
guys? We're gonna
I
do
mean,
2
if
episodes. So
someone-
we might want to cut it now that we've got the history done. If we're about to get into like moral arguments, maybe we should do on the next episode, which we're going to record right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
It might be a good way of splitting. How long is this episode been?
That's an hour.
Hour and
I bet, yeah.
yeah, hour exactly.
Oh yeah. Yeah, let's leave it there, man, and we'll get back into it because that's like a different side of the topic.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, everyone.
Official episode 1 of the Copecast. Episode 2, I guess. First time that it's had the name.
Wait,
Thanks
this
for
is
yeah.
the second episode.
The
It's
second
the
episode.
second, but we've
It's the
never
fir- we
really
never had a name.
called,
Yeah.
called a name.
Oh, okay.
We only called it the Copecast this episode.
Yeah.
All right, hit us with your comments and shares and let us know if we should kill each other on the podcast.
Can I be anonymous in the next episode?
Yeah. Just do a different.
Right, I'll see you later, guys.
Yeah, thanks for listening.